Yet another sign of President-elect Biden, you know, extending a hand of bipartisanship and opportunity, even though the invitations go automatically to every member of the House and Senate. Biden could have made it clear, as Beto O'Rourke, the former Texas congressman, made clear, that he didn't think Cruz belonged there, given Cruz's role in challenging the election result, trying to overturn the result of the election, playing a role in the big lie that Biden didn't win and that the election could be overturned. And yet he's there, showing his face, though masked. In any case, Dana, so much of this day is so different because there just aren't crowds there. There just aren't, the American people aren't there. It's dignitaries and officials such as, who is this? Is that Laura Bush? No. Oh, I believe that's Elaine Chao and Mitch McConnell. Elaine Chao, Trump's former Secretary of Transportation, who resigned after the insurrection, and of course her husband is the Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah, I mean, talk about uncomfortable positions, or maybe comfortable. You know, Elaine Chao and Mitch McConnell, you know, obviously they are fierce partisans, particularly Mitch McConnell, but this is the standard tradition that they adhere to, and Mitch McConnell, of course, has been incredibly critical of the president of late. We'll see what happens when he's, of the current president, we'll see what happens when he turns to start working across the aisle with Joe Biden, whom he has worked with so many times before. There's Amy Klobuchar, who is the top Democrat on the inaugural committee. That looks like Steny Hoyer, Chuck Schumer, who of course is going to be, as soon as this oath is taken, he is going to be the Senate Majority Leader. He is going to be the top Democrat. He already is the top Democrat. He is going to set the agenda for the United States Senate, because it is a razor-thin majority that they have, but they have it because Kamala Harris will be Vice President and therefore President of the Senate.
And that alone will mark a very important and new era for this country, with Democratic control of, importantly, the procedures of the Senate and the agenda of the Senate, even as Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are still working out how they're going to have a power-sharing agreement for some of the rest of the process in Washington. But it makes a big difference for the Joe Biden agenda, whether or not bills can be put onto the floor of the Senate and be considered by that body. So this is a big moment for Democrats and an opportunity for Democrats, but there are obviously a lot of challenges ahead. And as we watch as lawmakers come into the Capitol for this, I'm reminded that, of course, it has become pretty standard these days for some members of Congress to skip inaugurations, whether in protest or for other reasons. And I think we can expect to see at least some of that today. But as you pointed out earlier, Ted Cruz was there, Kevin McCarthy was there. These are people who just a couple days ago were trying to say that Joe Biden shouldn't be president. So they're going to be here today.
The most undemocratic actions we've seen in this thriving democracy in quite some time. This is Biden's motorcade departing from St. Matthews in downtown Washington, taking the soon-to-be first family to the Congress. Wolf, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, this is looks like the Vice President Mike Pence is arriving right now with Karen Pence, his wife. And this is really significant, John, that the Vice President, not the President, but the Vice President decided he was going to skip the farewell over at Joint Base Andrews, where the President said goodbye. Instead, he is here, and he's going to honor this tradition of a peaceful transfer of power.
There are very few Democrats watching who would have kind things to say about Mike Pence over the past 4 years. But over the past week or so, the past couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago today, he was in the Capitol building he's walking into right now during the insurrection. Many of those protesters carrying Trump-Pence banners came in chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." So yes, he is an important part of the imagery of today, the tradition of today, the respect for the process and the system of today. And there's so much change, as Abby and Dana and Jake were just talking about, that will come of this day. By the end of this day, Joe Biden will be president. We'll have our first woman vice president, our first woman of color as vice president. The Democrats will take control of the Senate. The Biden agenda will begin. The executive orders will start flowing. And all of that is critically important, and we will go through all the big policy and personnel changes over this day, the next 100 days, into the next midterm election, and so on. But the images of today are always important, and I think all the more so, because as we watch this play out, with Vice President Pence there, with former President Bush there, with, as Jake just noted, some Republicans there who just days ago were still repeating the lies about this election, it sends an important signal to the country and an important signal to the world, which is watching today, that the system repelled the attack. The horrific, the horror which we all watched at that very building 2 weeks ago will be replaced today with a remarkable ceremony, the inauguration of a new president, the inauguration of a historic vice president, and proof that the system withheld. The system, again, he used the word repelled, an attack. And so to see the band, to see the flags, to see the crowd, a lot of this is symbols, but symbols matter. Symbols send a message. I remember being at the White House on the night of 9/11 when George W. Bush came back to the White House. Many Secret Service agents, others in security, were concerned about that. He thought it was important to send the signal. Congress came back to work 2 weeks ago in that building to continue and to finish ratifying the Electoral College results. That symbol mattered. This symbol matters. And look at all those flags. Many of those flags honoring, of course, our friends and neighbors and fellow Americans who have perished from COVID. This all matters today as you pull together this remarkable, the beginning of the next chapter in Joe Biden's career. Well, imagine, Wolf, how many times did he walk into that Capitol building as a United States Senator? Today he walks in as President-elect, and he will leave as President.
Yeah, we saw those flags, thousands and thousands of flags down there in the Washington Mall. Look at all those flags. People are not there, but flags are instead.